In the last couple of years, because we can't drastically increase the capacity of batteries, we've had to get more creative about how we get juice into them. Enter quick charging. The three I'm testing here are VOOC by Oppo, TurboPower by Motorola, and QuickCharge 2.0 by Qualcomm, as well as a standard OEM 5V 2A charger on the Huawei P9. Let's have a look at VOOC first. VOOC is the proprietary charging tech from Oppo, and it's pretty great. VOOC uses 5V at 4A making 20 watts, and because of this, and some other special things, VOOC requires a special micro USB cable. The micro USB cable included in the box with your VOOC enabled device is compatible with everything else, but it won't let them charge at 5V 4A, that is what the extra 2 pins are for. TurboPower is Motorola's quick charging tech, but unlike Oppo, they didn't make theirs from scratch. Motorola based theirs off another competitor, QuickCharge 2.0 from Qualcomm. A standard UK wall plug adorned with a USB Type-A port and the Motorola Batwing logo are all that there is. Unlike VOOC and TurboPower and QuickCharge 2.0 alternate and boost the voltage instead of the amperage. TurboPower runs at 9V and 1.6A or 12V at 1.2A. This allows for standard cables and longer cables. I decided to throw in an OEM style fast charger, which has no real allegiances here. The one I'm using is the Huawei P9 with a 5V 2A charger that comes in the box. It isn't QuickCharge 2.0 from Qualcomm, as there isn't a Qualcomm chip inside, and they didn't license VOOC from Oppo like OnePlus did for dash charge. This is just a standard 5V 2A charger. Lastly, we have QuickCharge 2.0 from Qualcomm. Qualcomm has been iterating on the original fast charge spec for a couple of years now, going all the way to QuickCharge 3.0. But the plug I'm using here is for the Alcatel Idol 4S, meaning it's a QuickCharge 2.0 plug. More in line with TurboPower than VOOC, QuickCharge 2.0 would rather high voltages than high amperages. This lets your cables be thinner, use standard micro USB plugs, and lets you have longer cables. The QuickCharge 2.0 plug I have here runs at 5V and 2A or 9V at 1.67A. So why are they all here? Well, they're head-to-head of course. We are going to charge them all up for 10 minutes and see who gains the most power in the same amount of time. Luckily for me, all 4 of these devices came with their respective quick charger. But if you aren't so lucky, you can often buy new OEM ones, or in the case of Qualcomm QuickCharge ones, buy third-party ones from companies such as Anker and Orki. As you can see, the TurboPower charger and the Motorola G4 Plus here take it away at 47%, but it's not without compromises. The G4 Plus got hot, hotter than I'd like. Next is VOOC at 28%, and the metal of the F1 Plus is nice and cold to the touch. Third is QuickCharge 2.0 at 19%, and lastly is the OEM style charger at 14%. These last two are hotter than the F1 Plus, but are far cooler. So what do we take away from this? Well, VOOC was by far the fastest. What you guys didn't see is that after I turned off the camera, I left all 4 phones on charge for another 50 minutes, so they were on charge for an hour. Now bear in mind they were flat when I plugged them in. The F1 Plus and VOOC was at 100% and it looked like it had been for a while. The G4 Plus was about 85%, the QuickCharge 2.0 was about 80%, and the 5V 2A charger was hovering around 60%. Now the F1 Plus was nice and cold to the touch, the G4 Plus was very hot, the Idol 4S and QuickCharge 2.0 was really quite warm, and the Huawei P9 was warm enough, but it wasn't warm enough to cause issue. So there's not really much to take away here, because they're all different. You can only use VOOC if you have an Oppo device or a OnePlus device with a OnePlus 3. And you can use TurboPower on other phones, but you can't get the full advantage unless you're using a Motorola phone. Whereas QuickCharge 2.0 and QuickCharge 3.0 now are by far the most universal. You can buy phones that use them from pretty much every company. You can buy third-party power adapters pretty much everywhere. So there's not really much. If you need speed and reliability, I'd say VOOC all the time. But again, that very limited range of devices really kind of lets it down. So there you have it. That is my rapid charging showdown, face-off, whatever else I've decided to call this video. I'll see you guys soon.